Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Polyphony Digital Trophy, heading into round 6 of the season now at Trial Mountain. We're just waiting for qualifying to get away. Qualifying will be getting away soon, but we're back in the Americas for round 6 of the season. So I think we're currently waiting on people to join the lobby, potentially. Because I think there's maybe 1 or 2 more that we're expecting. Apparently not. So here we are, getting away for qualifying for the 6th time this season. And not the first time in America, but I'm watching in America. I think it might be the first time in America, I'm not too sure. But as always, or as usual, it is Che Easton who is the first man out in qualifying. Kind of a usual sight to be seen for this man right here. The man who is currently championship leader, Che Easton. He took the championship lead last week following a very nice week. Podiums in all 3 of the races, which put him just ahead of Will Sutters in the end. Climbed a big gap last week, and in the end it has worked out well for him. But he leads just by 2 points, 246 for Che Easton, 244 for Will Sutters. And it's Dominic Kabinski who's in 3rd at the moment, 220. Luke Clark on 208, Ruben Threjo on 188, shortly followed by Adam, or Steinmetz Hart on 181. Adam Hands on 170, just ahead of Czech, which was 169. But that is the driver's standings. Basically, it's starting to form a 2-horse race between Sutters and Easton. Kavinsky is just about in there still. 26 points behind the championship lead is Dominic Kabinski, but he's going to have a string of very good weeks if he wants to climb that gap. However, a gap that he can climb is the constructor standings. Team Spirit lead the constructor standings with 416 points. Project 1, on the other hand, Dominic's team, 401 points. So Kavinsky could win at least 1 championship this season. Easton, however, can go for the double, and he is currently in lead position for the double. Team Brown, 3rd place, 357 points, and LCR 4th, 317 points. Oh, sorry, 5-on-5 is 4th with 328 points, then LCR 317. Halex 239 and Nova 137 in last. But we are going to watch with Che Easton as he makes his attempt for the first lap of qualifying. And last week he did his pole position time in the first lap. So as we come up to the first corner, it's a very fast one, more like a kink of anything else. This car struggles quite a lot in this first sector, but he's done a decent job there, cutting as much of the corner as possible, and I think he got away with that one without any penalties. Kind of a medium, middle of the corner apex there, and then back onto the brakes. Just want to avoid clipping the bank on the inside there, and he's done nice work there. Easton now coming up to the second of the 3 tunnels on the circuit. And then it's down, and this corner's brilliant. It's kind of like a roller coaster. And into the final tunnel, which is the longest tunnel. It goes all the way down the back straight. A back straight which has been lengthened, the back and main straight, both lengthened in this Gran Turismo game compared to the previous ones, to basically guarantee better racing, harder braking zones, wider corners, all of that jazz. But he's going down into the braking zone now. One nice feature of all the corners on this track is they are all slightly banked. You know, there's a little bit of banking to all of them, so it's quite nice. And then onto the brakes again once you come over that crest. He's done a nice job through that corner, and then down again, braking when the track starts to flatten out. I think he's a little bit wide of that apex there. Could have maybe cut it a bit more. And then for the final corner, which has massively changed from previous Gran Turismo games, this one much more of an overtaking chicane than previous games. We used to just kind of hop over that final mound you saw on the inside. But Che Easton just about to cross over the line for his first lap of qualifying, and it is going to be a 150.9, which is actually a very fast lap indeed. Dominic Kabinski is the only one so far who's come close. Or saying that, Cameron Hill with a very solid lap with 51.2 for Cameron Hill. Dominic Kubinski was a 51.3 and Will Sutter's 51.4. Ruben Threjo has got himself nicely up in there as well with a 51.6. Much better than what his practice times were showing. I'm sure Ruben will be quite chuffed with that one. Sutter's coming out of the pits again. I'm guessing he got a penalty. Because if you get a penalty, it is better to just reset and come back out the pits for this track. Because the penalty line is down that start-finish straight. So, all kinds of pain. Who should we follow for a lap? Let's follow Charles Langstadler. We didn't see much of Langstadler last week, and he's going purple already in the first sector. But we didn't see much of Langstadler last week. We're going to watch him just for a lap here. See if he can improve on his time. That Honda is the fastest car in the first sector, by the way, so don't be surprised if it does go purple, because it's just what it does. Langstadler coming down into the heavy braking zone of this lovely banked left-hander. And then back up the hill. Is he going to be improving? He is improving. It's a half a second improvement on his personal best for Langstadler. Back over the crest, down the hill. Che Easton improved once again, so did Adam Hans, oh my word. We'll carry on watching Langstadler, but Che Easton with a 50.8 and Adam Hans with a 50.9. So both of the Team Spirit GTRs are well and truly up there, but what a lap from Che Easton. Can Langstadler do anything to kind of mimic that lap that those two have just set? Hasn't looked like the perfect lap for Langstadler, but it is enough to improve and overtake Ruben Threjo for P6. But these two up front, insane work for these two. They're near each other on track, so I'd imagine that maybe Slipstream would have been a small player in that one for Hans. Kubinski as well was also in that train with them. But what a lap from both of them, to be fair. Because in practice, I personally didn't really see anyone go below the 51s. So nice work. The wind conditions are quite nice in this lobby. They kind of push you down that back straight very well. Dominic Kubinski is improving by 0.3. Can he keep up that improvement through the last sector? 3 corners to go now. Kubinski looking to maybe overhaul that pole position in an ideal world, but certainly get himself into the top 2 in a realistic one. Kubinski takes that final corner well, and it's against that wall. And it is going to be an improvement for Kubinski, but how much of an improvement will it be? It's a 50.9, so he does get himself into the top 2, just about overtaking Adam Hans. Knew it would be a good lap. Not enough for pole though, still a 10th off. But still, nice lap from Kubinski. Whether Adam Hans has anything to compete against it or not is a different question, but we'll find out whether this lap will be the lap that he can compete against Kubinski. Feathering that throttle well through the corner, and he's going 2.5 tenths purple. This is genuine purple, by the way. Hans and Easton in the same car. So Adam Hans is genuinely 2.5 tenths up, and this will genuinely apply for his lap if he completes it in a good way. So go now down at the back straight through the tunnel. Adam Hans looks to be the man who could go for pole position here. And what a sight that would be. Hans now coming through the banked left-hander and back up the hill. Is he still going to be improving over the sector line? He is improving slightly purple, slightly faster than Easton. We don't see Easton at the moment, so I'm not sure what times Easton's setting, because Easton could also be improving, but at the moment Adam Hans is currently improving on the best time of the session. 50.8 is the current best. Adam Hans looks to be setting a 50.7 at this rate. Whether Easton can improve or not is a different question. Now Hans coming onto the final straight, start-finish straight, and it's looked like a clean lap. It looks good. Is it good? 50.6, but Che Easton had a 50.4. Wow. Okay, it was a big improvement for Adam Hans, but Che Easton, that did not matter to him one bit. 50.4 for Che Easton, and this man is on absolute flying form in this session. Those are insane lap times from the GTR driver. And Adam Hans, can he do anything to compete against his teammate? But Che Easton, is he going to go for another one here? He's a 10th down on his personal best. So if that were Adam Hans setting it, he probably would be in quite a good position. But at the moment, Che Easton will not be improving so far this lap. Will Sutters, though, big improvement for Sutters. He goes second fastest, 50.5. And Sutters will get another chance at a lap, and that is what he's going for now. Che Easton, can he improve? Can Adam Hans improve? Big one is Sutters. Sutters will just need to be faster through sector 2 and we'll know if this lap is good. He will be quicker here. He's not quicker here. He's a 10th down. Almost 2 tenths down here. Will Sutters, unless he can gain over 2 tenths, over 3 tenths from his personal best, that's what he needs. 3 tenths in 2 sectors over his personal best, and he will be able to overhaul Che Easton. But for now, I don't think it's happening. He's put the hazards lights on. I think this might be Will Sutters' laps over and his chance for pole position over as well. Che Easton could be your pole sitter, and he is going through the final 2 corners for the last time this session. Che Easton just about to cross over the line. Adam Hans just behind him, and I think Adam Hans might have a chance to overhaul Will Sutters here because he's got a supreme slipstream. That was close for Adam Hans. Had the slipstream. Dominic Kavinsky didn't quite improve. Cameron Hill, can he improve? He can, but not enough to overhaul Kavinsky. Langstadler is finished. Threjo is done. Van der Hart has a penalty, and Healer, I think that's a gap too big for Healer to overhaul. So once again, Che Easton pole position. 2 weeks in a row for Che Easton. I'm not sure if it's 3. I can't remember if it's 3. No, I think Matty got pole the week before. But 2 weeks in a row for Che Easton, pole position. Great laps from Adam Hans, though. He has improved his qualifying form. It's a nice one from Adam Hans to be up there with his teammate. He certainly needs it. But Will Sutters kind of outperforming, I think it's fair to say, what some people expect of that car, but I think the sandbags came off, to be completely honest. You know, he's not the only NSX who has shown pace tonight. So we'll wait for Tyler Davison, I'm guessing, will be added to the grid. So they'll cancel, there you go, they cancelled the race. And they'll redo the settings so Tyler Davison can join the grid. There we are. But yeah, those lap times were mighty impressive, I think it's fair to say. They were quicker than what I was expecting of these cars to be capable of. Not more than what the drivers, I think, be capable of. I think the drivers, given the right car, could do any lap time, really. I think these are very solid drivers on this grid. But yeah, more than what I thought the car could be doing. As Ruben says that Tyler might be able to do a last to first here, that would be a sight to be seen. Tyler clearly got confidence in himself by saying no. So now we have the fun part of waiting for the grid to be set. It's a shame that this happens in the first place. that people just sometimes show up to races late, and there's not much you can do about it, I'm afraid. Like, if you give them the chance to show up late and say, okay, we'll just miss qualifying and you can race anyway, then that's fine. He showed up during qualifying, so that's all that matters. Adam Hans practicing his start. It's a good launch that GTR has. One of the better launches on the grid. Car that used to be pretty nice off the launch is this NSX, but it kind of bogs quite a lot now. Beforehand, you had pretty much infinite traction. You did not have to worry whatsoever. But now you've got that traction, it just kind of bogs off of the start. But here we are for the first race of tonight. Che Easton leads out Will Sutter's two championship rivals. And Adam Hans, Easton's teammate, just behind them, Dominic Gabinski to his left. We have the 5 red lights. And they're out and we are away, and it looks like Sutter's did get the jump, but it was not enough to get the launch. And now both GTRs pull ahead of Sutter's and Gabinski as well, and Thorejo too. And Sutter's having to defend in the background, but it is Adam Hans who goes for the race lead. Che Easton leaving that one completely open for Hans. Hans on the soft tyres, Easton on the mediums. And now Hans is in the hot seat to pull away, and he's already pulling away a massive gap. 6 tenths, 7 tenths between Hans and Easton. But Easton staying chill on the start. He's got Gabinski behind him. He knows Gabinski won't do anything stupid. Already, Adam Hans up by a second ahead of Easton. Is this tactical, or has Adam Hans just pulled a bunch of pace out of nowhere? Gabinski has fallen back a little bit from Easton, so the two are starting to pull away. Gabinski under pressure now from Thorejo in the Team Brown McLaren. Thorejo going to that inside for the move. Gabinski's on the medium tyres, and Thorejo is also on the mediums. Having to use double mediums this week is Ruben Thorejo. And they're still side by side coming back up the hill, and Gabinski does manage to take that pack. Gabinski also has to use double mediums this week. So these two are both suffering from success. Tyler Davison, though, has already made quick ground up the grid on the soft tyres, is Tyler. And Tyler has places to be, clearly. Starting from last place. Tyler already up to 4th from last. He is under a bit of pressure from Thorejo. Thorejo already looking for that move. Thorejo tries around the outside, and that's never going to work. Or is it? No, not quite. Oh, Davison just picks himself up a penalty through turn 1. And now Thorejo is under pressure from Sutters, and Sutters should easily make that pass. On the soft tyres as well is Will Sutters. So he cannot afford to be slowed down too much by the cars around him, but he's well and truly in this pack, and if he wants to go for the win, the race leaders are just taking off completely. Up front though, or ahead of him, Dominic Gabinski is currently in a battle with Tyler Davison. I think there might have been a tiny tap there as Davison went past. Davison holding that inside line. Gabinski not really able to find a way on the inside, though Davison does move back out to the outside. Gabinski doesn't go for the late lunge. In fact, Davison goes very deep there. Well, maybe I saw it wrong from that camera angle, but it looked like he went quite deep there. Davison will have to serve the penalty at the start of the next lap, or the end of this lap, on that start-finish straight, and this will give us a good opportunity to show where that penalty line is, because no one was serving penalties in the first, or qualifying session, should I say. I think Davison has pulled out enough of a gap between himself and Sutters to get away okay after serving this penalty, but there you go, he holds to that left-hand side. Kavinsky and Sutters both going down the straight as well. It could be 3 wide going into turn 1 as Kavinsky and Sutters both pull to the outside of Davison. Davison, though, holds that inside well. And now Davison just about stays ahead, kind of as I was expecting, but Sutters is already on the better pace than Kavinsky here, I feel. And he will want to get as close to Davison as possible, as quickly as possible. And now Kavinsky, I think, has just kind of waved him through. A little ball contact on the inside there from Thorejo and Kavinsky, I think. And now there's a little tap from the rear from Kavinsky just to let Thorejo know that, look, there was contact there. Thorejo pushed his way through. Again, Kavinsky is not letting this one go. Not happy about that. 3 wide going into this corner, and that's not one you see 3 wide at too often. I think Hill was involved in that one, but he didn't lose out massively. But yeah, I don't think that one was too clean, to be honest, between Thorejo and Kavinsky. Davison has pulled out a little bit of a gap to the rest of the pack. Sutters as well has broken away, but he's not broken away while in Davison's tow. Now Davison, all he has to do is just catch up to Easton in front of him, and it will be a clean fight between himself and Hans for the win. I'm just wondering, did Davison win a race the last time he raced with us in GTRC? Should we check? Apologies if I'm quiet for the next couple of minutes while I check if Davison won a race the last time he raced in GTRC. But if he did, then I just need to remind Will that he has to use double mediums, which is boring, but it's the rules. Tyler Davison, it has actually been caught up a little bit by Will Sutters. So Sutters is on a much better pace than I personally expected. So first race at Kyoto was won by Luke Clark, I believe. The second race was won by Dominic Kavinsky, and the third race was won by potentially either Easton or Davison. But if he did win that round, then he does have to use mediums for the rest of the night tonight. So I am just going to message Will to remind him. But something to be spoken about, though, is Will Sutters' pace. He has improved his pace quite a bit in these last couple of laps. Just in the background there, we saw Dominic Kavinsky with a penalty, and he'll be serving that just after this final corner. Steinman to Hart is under a bit of pressure from Ruben Thorejo, so both of the Project 1 cars have overtaken the Team Brown McLaren. And now that McLaren is pulling alongside, trying to get the move done again, but the two Supra teammates giving each other slipstream through that straight, and he does manage to keep ahead of the McLaren. Pressure relieved to a certain extent. In the background, though, Steinman to Hart trying to go on a move on Thorejo. Thorejo losing out on this one. Maybe? Yes, that is Langstadler, who does make it past Thorejo. They are both quite laggy, the Europeans. Davison has managed to catch up to Easton, and there will be a battle between these two for the next couple laps, as Easton will look to try and defend his teammate up ahead as best he can. The 1-2 does not really seem possible anymore with Davison's pace, but certainly Easton
could do everything he can to try and make sure his teammate wins instead of him. But remember, if Easton loses out to Davison, he's now got his championship rival just behind him. This could be a tasty battle indeed. It's Easton, I'm sure, checking his rearview mirrors every single corner. But he has pulled out a little bit more of a gap to Davison. I think Davison will try and go for an easy overtake on the start-finish straight, or going into turn one, because overtaking points at this track are far and few. He has had a very poor exit out of that final corner. You saw Sutters in the background as well, struggled a bit, so maybe the dirty air is actually making an effect through that corner, and I think Davison is not actually close enough to make a move yet. So either, well, let's give Easton a bit of credit. His pace is pretty nice on those medium tyres at the moment. He's not too far off what the soft runners are doing at the moment. So Easton could be doing a lot worse job keeping Davison behind him, I think it's fair to say. But Davison now, I'm sure, will be going for the move here, and that's a very easy one for Davison to take. Easton defending in a very clever way, just driving as fast as possible, and that is the best defence he could have done. And now Davison has 5 seconds clear road up ahead of him to Adam Hands. Only a couple of laps to do it though. He's going to have to hope that his pace is otherworldly and Adam Hands makes some kind of mistake, and maybe we could see a fight for the lead. But Tyler Davison doing a very nice job, starting in last place, missing the qualifying, and this is what he's capable of. Something we're used to seeing with Tyler. Although Che Easton is already looking back to go for the move again, then he is right all over that rear end of the R34. Easton almost in the right position to make an overtake, but I think that will be battle over now, you'd expect. There's no way Easton will keep with him for the next couple of corners. So now Easton just has to focus on defending once again, because it is Will Sutters just behind him. The best Easton can hope for here is possibly a P3. P4 though is realistically where Easton will finish. But if he's lucky, it will stay one position between himself and Sutters, and there will not be too much movement in the championship that way. I want to see the championship as close as possible. I believe if Sutters overtakes Easton here though, Sutters will be our new championship leader going into the second race of tonight. So pressure mounting on Will Sutters. Let's look further back on the grid as Dominic Kubinski has broken away a little bit from his teammate behind him. There he is. Ruben Thorejo all over the grass in the background, trying to cause some kind of kerfuffle between himself and Van der Haar. Or you'd say, ideally, that is what Thorejo will be hoping for. But for now, Van der Haar just kind of sticking in that P6, and these positions are not too great for that Project 1 team in the two Toyota Supras. They are 5th and 6th, but if you look at where their title rivals are, they're 1st and 3rd. And Project 1 are already on the back foot in the Constructors' Championship, so this will be a difficult one to overhaul if they do miss out on the points here that Team Spirit are certainly gaining. But let's not forget, Project 1 did have that 1-2 finish earlier on this season. As Thorejo goes for the outside, and Van der Haar, he does go back for the inside, and he defends it well, but maybe broke too late. He very much did break too late, left the inside vulnerable once again for Ruben Thorejo to go for the switchback side by side coming up the hill, and it is Thorejo who has to slot back in behind Van der Haar there. So Van der Haar doing a nice job defending that P6. Thorejo on the soft tyre, I believe. No, medium tyre, sorry. He has to use that twice tonight. So they're both on the same tyre compound. Van der Haar, though, I think is just struggling a bit with pace. He's never really gotten along with this track, has Stein Van der Haar. Always had issues at this circuit. So he's having a hard time holding off that McLaren. He's not doing a terrible job, though, I think it's fair to say. Up front, I think the Sutters and Easton battle is getting closer, so I am going to cut away from that, because this is the battle for the final podium position. And this is a really crucial one for the championship standings. Every position matters as we are getting into the last 3 rounds of the season, and Sutters tries to look for a gap there, but yeah, we are on the final 3 rounds of the season, 2 more to go after tonight. And every single battle between Sutters and Easton is very important, but Sutters is going to hope to try and find any weakness that he can in Che Easton. He has the tyre advantage. All he needs to do is just find a corner that Easton doesn't defend. But Easton doing a very nice job. Racing kind of a slightly unorthodox racing line just to kind of throw Sutters off. It's a very smart defending tactic. It's one that Fernando Alonso very famously used, where he would use a very unorthodox line in front of the car behind him. Switch up the line every single lap just so the car behind can't really get into a rhythm. But Sutters goes for the inside. It's a very late move. He doesn't quite make it stick though, and this is one that we've seen reminiscent, one that we've seen many times before between Easton and Sutters, in that Sutters will go for those late moves and Easton just brakes later. Easton has always been a lot more confident on the brake pedal than Will Sutters. I was rewatching a battle from Season 1 recently, and you saw the exact same thing. Sardinia Season 1, I believe it was, and these two went at it for half the race pretty much. And it was that same story over and over again. Easton just breaks that a little bit later, and Will Sutters just cannot make the move. We are getting on to the final lap. This battle's still going strong for that final podium position. I think Che Easton's doing a very nice job defending off that Honda on the weaker tyre. Easton on the mediums, Sutters on the softs, and Easton is doing a mighty fine job indeed. Easton to keep up his podium streak would be nice. He's currently on a streak of 4 podiums in a row. This would be his 5th. Or if we're talking race wins, also count as podiums. So 4 top 3s in a row, shall I say. And if he can keep Sutters behind him, this would be his 5th top 3 in a row. There we go, got there eventually. And he is, to be fair, he's picked up the pace a little bit on Sutters. Sutters is not as close on the back straight this time round as he was last time. So maybe Sutters will not be having as such an easy time. So we're now going through the corner there, the bank left-hander. Sutters still over 4 tenths behind. Easton has found pace out of nowhere, and Sutters has dropped off his pace. That last lap seemed like it was his last chance to overtake Che Easton and take the lead of the championship. And I don't think Sutters is close enough to go for a late dive. Is Easton going to cover it off anyway? Easton is momentarily covering it off anyway. Sutters brakes as late as possible, but it's not going to be enough. We'll look up ahead. Adam Hans takes his first win in 2 seasons. I'm sorry we didn't get much coverage of that, but Adam Hans, race winner for the first time in 2 seasons. Tyler Davison comes home in P2, starting last place. And it is Che Easton's 5th top 3 in a row, just about keeping ahead of his championship rival, and he does keep the lead of the standings. Dominic Kubinski comes home P5. Cameron Hill, nice race from Cameron indeed. It's P6 for him. P7 for Ruben Thorejo, just behind him, Jolt Langstadler, and then it is Stein Van Hart in last place. But what a win from Adam Hans, got to say. He had a splendid qualifying session. He was on the fastest tyre for this race, and he was just in such a good position to take that race win. And he did take that race win in the end. The first one in 2 seasons for Adam Hans. What a job from him. Sure, he is quite happy about that. He didn't get the fastest lap in the end. That was beaten by Tyler Davison just under a tenth. Tyler Davison was the quickest in that race, but Adam Hans was the man who won it in the end. Good qualifying from him, and shows the importance of getting a good grid position. But good race from Tyler Davison, starting in last place and really proving what he can do. Che Easton, though, just about holding off Will Sutters for P3, and that gap does increase between the two of them in the standings. And Easton does keep the lead of the standings and keeps up a streak of top 3 in the last 5 races. That's over 3 rounds now. He's had a top 3 in every single round, and he has now had a top 3 in every single one of the last 5 races. So Easton, I'm sure, will be very happy with that one, doing a nice job. Dominic Kubinski comes home P5. Quite a quiet one, but he is the best of the rest, I think it's fair to say. just ahead of Hill, or I say just ahead. He was in no man's land, basically, Dominic Kubinski. 5 seconds in front, 5 seconds behind. Ruben Thorejo just about beat Zsolt Langstadler at the end there, and it was a close battle between those three, with Steinmetz Hart involved as well. But yeah, it feels like I say this every single week, but Che Easton is on a very nice run of form at the moment. Three already back out and practicing for the next race. Adam Hands looks like he's opting for the mediums in this next race, so he's going to get his medium tyre run out the way in the second race. Goes soft, medium, soft. It's not a bad strategy whatsoever, because it will put him in a very nice position for the final race, which will be on the soft tyres. Cameron Hill is on the soft tyres himself though, and Will Sutters as well is on the soft tyres. For the race start for the second time tonight, the final standing start, the reverse grid, which sees Steinmetz Hart leading, Zsolt Langstadler just behind, former teammates, and then Ruben Thorejo and Cameron Hill behind them in the second row. 5 red lights, and we're away, and it is Will Sutters in the background who's jumped the start by the looks of it. Steinmetz Hart already pulls off and pulls ahead of Zsolt Langstadler. Langstadler has fallen back big time. Ruben Thorejo did gain on Steinmetz Hart, but it wasn't enough to get an overtake, and Will Sutters has already fallen out of the top 8 because of that false start. Now Fanta Hart can try and pull a gap, and Thorejo's on his second set of mediums of the night. So Thorejo is already having to go defensive against Kubinski. Easton's picked up a penalty just behind them, and Easton has Tyler Davison in tow. Davison is on the mediums, Easton's on the softs. Thorejo maybe looking for a move back for P2 on Kubinski. Or maybe Easton's looking for a move on Thorejo, as Thorejo I don't think saw that one coming one bit. And there's contact between Easton and Kubinski. Kubinski's gone round with Easton pushing him, and I think that was Easton who did push him round there, as Easton has let him through. That is not great whatsoever for Easton nor Kubinski, because Easton already had that penalty. Kubinski though was running in a nice position, and Easton forced to wait for him following that incident. That's not quite race over for either of them, because they both have lots of pace. Maybe for Kubinski on the medium tyres it might be, but it is certainly going to make matters a lot harder for both of them. Speaking of, Will Sutters has moved his way up into 5th place now. He's already under a lot of pressure from Adam Hands, whom he just overtook. Will Sutters. Ooh, Adam Hands goes off front of Sutters. And now Cameron, oh my word. Adam Hands very wide and sliding there, as Cameron Hill just about gets past him. But Sutters, despite the false start, is actually in pretty much the same position he was in the last race, running P5 on lap 2. So he's done a decent job to recover. He's got his teammate just in front of him. Will Langstadler play ball? Will he let him through? Langstadler in a bit of a sandwich. has got Davison in front of him, and Davison is being held up by Thorejo. Thorejo, who found himself in P2 still, simply out of the fact that Gawinski got spun out. Thorejo doing a nice job defending, and he is pretty much holding the entire pack up behind him in a Constantina effect, if anything. Thorejo not giving up that inside line. Tyler Davison finds a gap. Davison, though, I don't think he's going to have to brake very late, is Tyler Davison, and he doesn't go for it. Thorejo just covers it off at the end there, and Tyler Davison has to back out last second, stick behind him once again. And now Davison goes for the inside line again, and maybe Thorejo didn't see him that time because had to jerk off to the right at the last second. And Davison has found his way up into second. Sutters as well and Langstadler have both passed Thorejo, and this is all falling apart in a matter of seconds for Ruben Thorejo. But that is often how it goes for a slower car. Once one gets by, it's just easy for all the others. Davison, though, is under pressure from two 515 cars, and he decides to give slipstream to Langstadler instead of Sutters. Sutters, though, still has a very nice run. Better so than Langstadler, and he pulls back ahead. Is Sutters going to go for the late dive? He is going to go for the late dive on Tyler Davison, and Davison did not see that one happening whatsoever, and Davison now fallen back into P3, Sutters P2. That was a very late overtake for Will Sutters on Tyler Davison, and now Davison once again gets past him up the hill, but he's been pushed back past the head of Davison. That one was not Sutters pushing Davison through, that was simply someone pushing Sutters up through to Davison, and now Davison is getting his elbows out, pushing Sutters wide as he goes through. So it's starting to get a little bit fighty between these two, but what it is doing is it is helping Steinman to Hart pull away up in front. Will Sutters once again going for that inside, and it's still not enough. They're side by side again. Sutters having to pull back, sit behind him, but he still has got his teammate behind. His teammate will probably work with him here. And that's in the background is Che Easton and Dominic Gawinski, who are both caught back up to this grid because they're fighting so much. This pack of cars so close to each other. Is Davison going defensive once more? Sutters tried it round the outside, but it was never going to work there. And Easton is really in this battle again. He's up into P5. Che Easton starting to apply pressure on Jolt Langstadler. So despite the poor start and despite the incident for Easton and Gawinski, he's caught right back up to where he was. Not really challenging for the lead, and he's much further off the lead than he was before, but because these guys are battling so much, it's just brought the entire pack together. And already Che Easton, you can see him in the background there with that inside line going on Jolt Langstadler, and it looks like he is going on Will Sutters as well. He is going on Will Sutters side by side with Sutters on the inside. Can he break the latest and take that move from Will Sutters? He can. Che Easton with an amazing recovery following a very poor lap 1. It's lap 4 now, and he's already up into the top 3. He's not letting that top 3 streak end. And can he now easily dispose of Davison just as easily as he did so with Sutters? Which would essentially guarantee the fact that he will get that top 3, but he's had a poor exit there, and Sutters now back on the outside of Easton. Easton, though, outside turns into inside, but Easton's had contact with Davison there, I think, and Easton just forced to back off. Sutters pulls back ahead. Davison doing his best to hold off that P2, but I think all this has done is it's guaranteed a race win for Steinman to Hart up ahead, but that's not what we're focusing on right now. What we're focusing on is this battle for P3. Tyler Davison, Will Sutters, Che Easton, Will Sutters, should I say, and it is Easton once again who pulls ahead of Sutters, and Easton will just be wanting that clean air in front of him to try and battle to get to Tyler Davison, but this battle is slowing him down so much. But now Cameron Hill's getting involved, and Cameron Hill, almost got ahead of Will Sutters, but Sutters goes with a very clean and nice switchback. Hill just tapping the inside wall there. So Easton now should be his chance to break away from Sutters and goes for the battle on Davison. Davison once again running in P2, Easton once again running in P3. Very, very reminiscent of the last race. But this time it's not Adam Hans leading. It is Stijn van 't Hart, who are on lap 5 now. We're past the halfway point, and Stijn van 't Hart has an 8.3 second lead. Fastest lap of the race as well, so Stijn's doing a nice job. But we're going to watch back on this battle where things are hot as ever. Tomasz Kubinski's moved his way back up to P6 after being in the last place momentarily. And he is going to hope to try and fight to get up to the back of Cameron Hill. Hill, though, was on the soft. I think Kubinski's best position he can hope for here is a P6. Davison is the highest medium runner at the moment. He's kind of kept his nose out of trouble. He's fought hard, fought well. Now I think it is probably Easton's chance to get up to P2. It's Easton's turn to tackle Tyler Davison, as Davison does get... Oh no, Davison momentarily had the fastest lap. Now it goes to Easton. And it is purple GTR on pink GTR action. Davison still keeping a decent gap ahead. He's found some nice pace on those mediums, but I think it's more so that the soft tyre runners don't actually have much of an advantage at the moment. Interestingly, the wind setting is 0 at the moment. There's no wind. Not seen that too often in races. Easton's really not got the same pace he had in the first race. I mean, Easton was on the mediums in the first race, and he had more pace than this. Che Easton, though, on the soft tyres, and he's not really putting in the laps you'd expect him to put. Cameron Hill has successfully got past Will Sutters, and he is going to be chasing down Easton here now. Easton is going 3:10 to purple on his previous personal best. But whether that is really the pace he should be doing or not, it doesn't matter, because as long as he gets ahead of Tyler Davison, it's what you do on track that matters, not the lap times, shall I say. Oh, he's already going for that inside line on the final corner. I thought maybe he could challenge the inside, stick his nose in, but not quite. Davison is doing a nice job, still holding that P2. Stijn dominance could bore fans, I agree, Yannick. Stein's disappeared into the distance. He's the next Max Verstappen. To be fair, though, since these lot have stopped battling so fiercely, Stein's gap has decreased, but it's not enough. Stein's pretty much guaranteed his first race win of the season. And it's nice to see Stijn winning so often at the moment. As you watch back several seasons ago, he was not at the level he's at now. Stein's first GTRC win came in the final ever round of the DTM, a 1-2 with his teammate Sjoerd Langstadler, and this would be his 4th or 5th GTRC win, I believe. He's had one win in every single season since that DTM win at the Nürburgring. But Davison holding the inside. Easton tries for the outside, and finally the move is happening. Easton has the superior grip, and Davison cannot do anything to compete against that. Davison's race may have been run in that P2 position as Easton finally takes it away. And now it's a question of maybe Hill can do the same and get a podium. The first one in a while for Cameron Hill. It's not been a good season so far for him. I believe he has already had a podium, and this would be the next one. He is slowly starting to bring his form into a good place, is Cameron Hill. Had a decent qualifying, has not really made too many mistakes tonight. And all he's got to do now is overtake the car in front of him, and that is a podium position for Cameron Hill. One I'm sure he'll be quite happy about. Che Easton is just starting to pull away already ahead of Tyler Davison, and Davison is going to have to do what Easton did in the last race. It is GTR versus Honda again, soft versus medium. And Easton showed us last race that it can be done. GTR on mediums can beat a Honda on softs this late in the race. It's now up to Davison to mimic that as best he can. Davison, though, I'm sure will still be looking ahead at Easton and thinking he could probably take that P2 back. Easton not really putting in the lap times that he needs to pull away from Davison just yet, and he is already going defensive. That's why Tyler Davison's moved to the inside there. Easton's already going defensive. Easton genuinely feels there is quite a bit of threat here that he could lose this position. He's still holding that inside line. He now starts to peel back to the outside. And still not quite enough for Tyler Davison to make a move there. And if Cameron Hill doesn't start putting pressure on Tyler soon, Easton might have to fight him once again. Tyler is doing a nice job on these mediums, but Easton's pace is not quite there on the softs. To be fair though, a lot of the Nissan GTR drivers have said that the car feels very nice on the mediums. So maybe this is just what we're seeing here. Well, a lot of them are other than Luke Clark. Luke Clark cannot stand the mediums, but I think that's less about the car and more about the driver, to be honest. We've seen the issue before in other cars. Davison is kind of keeping a pretty equal gap between himself and the two cars around him. 5/10 in both directions. Cameron Hill, for a moment, looked like he could challenge for P3. And he still probably could challenge for P3, but he needs to pull out just a tiny bit more pace out of his bag. And I think that is what he's done. Remember, fastest lap holder is Cameron Hill. And Easton has just broken away a little bit. Cameron Hill, though, that NSX doesn't have the straight line speed of the GTR, so Easton is safe in that P2. It's more whether Cameron can take home a P3. But that doesn't matter all too much at the moment, because we are going to jump to the front and focus on this man right here, one we haven't focused on too much. Stijn van 't Hart, though. The Dutchman who's dominating. Sounds a bit like Formula 1, that. But this time round, it is Stijn's turn. Not for the first time ever winning in a Supra, but it is the first time this season he gets to win in that Supra. And it's a car that he gets along with well. A car which he's had his most success in GTRC now. This is his third win in that Toyota Supra, but the first one this season. Stijn van 't Hart takes home his first race win of the season. Che Easton takes P2, and that's really important for his title. Tyler Davison P3, Cameron Hill P4, Will Sutter's P5, dropped off a little bit at the end there. So did Dominic Kavinsky, who just about caught up to Will Sutter's in the end. Adam Hans P7, Joel Langstadler P8, and it's Ruben Threjo in 9th. But very nice for Stijn van 't Hart there, as he takes home his third race win in the Toyota Supra and his first race win of the season. But there is your race results tonight. It's Cameron Hill with the fastest lap. It's 51.6, so the pace was a lot slower than in the first race. But Che Easton keeping up that streak. That is 6 races in a row with a top 3 finish for Che Easton. Easton on absolute flying form at the moment, and with a good recovery from the start of the race. At one point he was almost 10 seconds behind the pack. him and Kubinski getting in an incident early, but what recovery Easton had in the end. Stein van der Hart, though, nothing to take away from that race win. Took the lead early on and controlled the race from that moment. Stein doing what he does best and putting in the consistent laps. Tyler Davison with the P3, and that was a nice race from Tyler on the medium tyres. Pretty good job. Kind of mimicked what Che Easton did in the race before. Cameron Hill, P4, good uptick of form for him. Will Sutters, he was looking strong earlier on in the race and kind of fell back a little bit, and in the end he was being put under quite a bit of pressure from Dominic Kubinski, who at one point was last place in this race, but so was Sutters himself. With that poor race start, jumping the start, you have to say if Sutters did not jump that start, he may have been, or he may have had a bit more of a gap between himself and Kubinski at the very least. Adam Hans in the end finished P7 off the back of his win in the last race, and then it is Langstadler in P8, and Ruben Thorejo comes home in last. But that was an exciting one. Quite a few battles, and Davison did a nice job, I think, for Kubinski and Easton to catch back up. Davison kind of held up the entire grid for him, which I highly doubt was intentional, but it did indirectly benefit Easton and has put him with such a big points advantage now to Will Sutters. That's several positions between the two of them, and that will be a nice haul of points for Easton, who takes home his 6th top 3 in a row. It might even be, I could be wrong, but it might even be his 8th top 3 in a row. I'm not 100% too sure. Someone needs to figure this out for me, because Easton, how many top 3s he's had in a row, he's on a very good streak at the moment. He's had lots and lots of podiums now, and they've all come in quick concession, and he hasn't ended it. He's been on this same streak for the past couple of weeks now. Whatever it is, it's been at least 3 weeks now where he's had a podium every single race. Can he go for potentially his 9th top 3 in a row? Man on fire is Jay Easton. Can Will Sutters do anything against that? Maybe stop Jay Easton in his tracks. It would be important for Sutters' championship hopes to maybe halt the momentum. We've seen it before with Sutters versus Witchell, unstoppable force versus immovable object, but this seems to be more unstoppable force versus object. Adam Hans, though, with a P2. With a P2, Adam Hans got a win. He's in P2 at the moment, on track, of the 2 cars that are currently on track. But Adam got his first win in quite a long time. The last win was Grand Valley back in Season 1. So I'm sure Adam's quite happy about that one, regardless of how the last race goes. He will have something to go home with and be happy about. A trophy is always a good thing, and a gold one is better than any other colour. We just wait now for the final grid to be set, for the last race to begin, and we are about to be underway for the final race. And the last race, as always, is a rolling start. Ruben Thorejo leads out Jolt Langstadler with Adam Hans and Dominic Kubinski behind them, and then Will Sutters in P5 and Cameron Hill P6. Davison is 7th, Easton 8th, and Van der Hart right at the back of the grid, following that good race win. But Thorejo is on his one and only set of soft tyres for the final race tonight. So we're away now, so the lights go out, and Thorejo, as you'd expect, gets a better start than everyone else. The launch of that car is insane. In the background, though, is already Kubinski and Hans starting to put pressure on Langstadler, as Langstadler has not had a good start whatsoever. Langstadler is looking very laggy at the moment. So we'll follow Hans instead, just so the camera jitters a lot less. Adam Hans is on the soft tyres. Langstadler's also on the softs. I think most people are on the soft tyres at this stage. Will Sutters is on his mediums. Davison almost spins out, but he's on the softs. Easton's on the softs, and Stein is on the softs. So Sutters is the only medium runner here, actually. Sutters, is that by choice? Did he win a race last week? He did not win a race last week, so no, he has just left his mediums until the very end here. Yeah, that's true, he was on the softs of the first two. Apologies, but Cameron Hill is already going for the move on him. NSX and NSX. In theory, neither of these two should have an advantage, and it's now 3 wide going into the bank left-hander with the two GTRs working together to push through. And I believe that is the two GTRs who have successfully pushed through ahead of the two Hondas. It's Nissan on Honda violence. The two Hondas, though, were not working together, but Easton saw the opportunity to push Davison through there, and Easton thought, why not? It's worked out well for him. So now Davison moves his way up into P5. Kabinski and Langstadler and Hans are still fighting. Langstadler trying to hold the position as well as possible. Kabinski isn't quite ahead of him yet. Hans, however, has successfully pulled ahead. And now Kabinski has pulled ahead. So Langstadler not really having a great start. He's got Davison for company now. Davison almost went for a move. Langstadler's moving all over the place. I do apologise, that does happen sometimes. Sometimes it happens to me. Davison is going for the move on the inside, and Langstadler should be aware of that, and he is aware of that, and Davison has made a nice overtake, and so has Che Easton pretty easily. Both of the GTRs are through, and these GTRs are working together, which is a funny sight to see. Tyler Davison, though, looks to be on some pretty nice pace at the moment, and could be the guy with the best opportunity to move up, maybe for a race win. It's not unheard of. So they go down into the bank left-hander. Davison looking to be very, very fighty at the moment. Oh, sliding in the background. Who was that? It was Jolt Langstadler, who's got himself into some kind of incident at the back there. Langstadler has missed out completely there. And what a shame. Langstadler looks to be struggling this race, and that is kind of the final nail in the coffin for him, I'm afraid. But Davison still trying to gain on Kabinski. Kabinski is on some pretty nice pace at the moment, so is Adam Hans. Hans, we saw, has what it takes to win races. I mean, he did it in the first race. He got out into the lead early and just kind of pulled away with his pace, but can he do it again? On a single lap, we know Hans is fast, and Thorejo has picked up a penalty up ahead, so this does actually put Adam Hans in a very, very nice position. With Thorejo with a penalty, he'll serve that penalty, and he should be behind Adam, to be fair. Maybe Kabinski as well. So this is no longer really a race that Thorejo can win, I don't think. In the Team Brown McLaren. Adam Hans is already all over the back of Thorejo. Will he try and make the move before the penalty's even served? Looks like he's going to go for it. So he takes that inside and breaks later than Thorejo. Davison and Kabinski battling in the background. I think Davison went for the inside there and Kabinski didn't quite see it. Oh, and there's looked like it was side by side with Thorejo and Kabinski with Easton, should I say. Kabinski's getting himself involved in all kinds of battles, and I don't really think he's seeing any of the cars around him. Almost getting turned by two cars there. There is contact in racing. It's not completely non-contact. Rubbing is racing. I mean, racing is a non-contact sport, though. As Thorejo does serve his penalty. His windscreen wipers going for whatever reason. And he slots in just behind Dominic Kubicki. So Ferrejo only lost out on 2 positions with that penalty, but make that 3 as Che Easton sneaks up the inside like it was nothing. Found the gap on the exit, had a very nice run through those first couple corners, and that's really the best run we've seen Easton do through those first couple corners all night. He's struggled a lot in those first couple corners. Up front though, Dominic Kubicki is piling on the pressure to Tyler Davison. Davison though doesn't really seem to succumb to pressure too often. He's not that kind of driver. He likes to get in dirty and feisty, does Tyler Davison. His battles are often rough. Just behind Davison and Kubicki though, there is a very quick Che Easton, who's looking up to keep up his streak of podium positions in every single race for God knows how long it's been now. 3 weeks at the very least. He's not had a win since Brands Hatch, but he has been consistent enough to get a top 3 in every single race since Brands Hatch, maybe even since Fuji. Tyler Davison, though, I think is quick enough that he is just going to pull away from Kubicki here. Maybe tow Kubicki along with him as they both catch up to Adam Hans, because Hans' time was 0.5 of a second off of what Tyler Davison did there. So Davison looks to be in the best position at the moment with the fastest car. He is the fastest driver, should I say. He's already going for the move on Hans, and Hans braked very, very early. Hans braking extremely early for that corner, and I didn't even know there was a battle on there, I'll be completely honest. So Adam Hans loses that P1 pretty much immediately. Well, no, Adam Hans has pulled back ahead. But I didn't even know that Tyler Davison had pulled close enough ahead, so maybe the advantage that Davison does get against Hans is in that first sector. Would explain why he caught up so quickly. And Davison is opting for the outside. Hans does cover the inside. This time the GTRs are not working together. It is GTR and GTR action with a Supra sprinkled in the middle, and there's another GTR getting involved as well, as they were momentarily 3 wide, and Che Easton has snuck past 2 of them, saying, "I'll take that, that's P2 for me." Che Easton biding his time, being patient. He saw the opportunity to go for 2 overtakes in 1, and that is exactly what he did there. Easton moving his way up into P2. And now Easton might have a chance for the race win. But if I'm going to be honest, what I think he might want to do is just bide his time and support Adam Hans for that win. We will see. Tyler Davison has dropped off a little bit. Kubicki has managed to get past him, and Kubicki has pulled out a tiny bit of a gap. We saw Davison was sliding through the last 2 corners. And that was a pretty interesting battle. You saw the faster drivers behind really catching up to the slower ones up front. It just kind of compressed, and now they're all spread out a bit more. Kubicki goes for the inside on Easton. Easton doesn't really defend it too well. They're going to stay side by side for the next couple of corners, and Easton will have the inside going into the tunnel corner, and this should be easy for Easton to keep the lead ahead of Kubicki. Kubicki does try and get the best run he can through, and to be fair, they are still side by side. Kubicki had a very nice run going through that corner, and now who does Davison push? Or does he push anyone? Davison has the option to push someone, and it looks like he's pushed Easton, so the GTR's working together once again, but working together just to give Davison an advantage as Davison goes for that overtake on Easton, and almost cutting off the front end of Che Easton's car. Davison back up ahead of Kawinski and Easton, and now Cameron Hill getting involved in this one too. Hill just pulled up behind this battle in P5, and this is a pretty nice battle indeed. Kawinski though is going to try his best to catch back up to Davison and maybe challenge for P2 again. Easton's under a lot of pressure from Cameron Hill here, and maybe this could be another position loss for Che Easton, but he just about stays ahead as Hill doesn't really have enough of an impact on the straights compared to Easton's GTR. And others, Kawinski, to be honest, Kawinski has lost a lot of pace through the first sector. Lost a lot of ground, should I say. And Easton is up 4/10 in that first sector. Easton maybe looking to quickly disperse off Kawinski here. Hill having a similar role to Davison last time we saw a battle here. He maybe gets to decide who to support, but in the front we are seeing actually a battle for the lead, and it is Adam Hans who is just about defending ahead of Tyler Davison, and Easton did get that overtake done in the end to Kawinski, but now Adam Hans is under a lot of pressure from Tyler Davison, and he doesn't leave the inside open for Davison. Davison struggling to get past Hans at the moment, but he had some very, very fast he had some very fast speed. Oh, contact there between Hans and Davison. I think Hans was just let off to Davison has let off to let Hans back through, and now Easton's getting involved in this battle. So that contact was less than ideal for these two, because now Davison has found himself in a sandwich of two cars who are teammates with each other. The two Team Spirit GTRs versus the one LCR GTR. And bear in mind, it was Che Easton who used to drive for that LCR team. And perhaps he might have very well been in that GTR had things gone slightly differently last season. I love how the flames spit out the side of the car there. That's funny. I like it. It's on the downshifts. Davison is having the pressure piled on now by Easton. It was Davison who was piling on the pressure on Hans, and this could be anyone's race here. Anyone down to even Kawinski could take home this race win. Davison defends well. Easton attempted the outside run. It didn't quite work out. Hans, though, is still in the hot seat. And Hans is doing a nice job, to be fair, not to succumb to the pressure. But Davison is going for the inside, and it was a very late move there. Davison just about getting that inside line, and still there was contact once again between Davison and Hans. Davison letting that one back through, and now Easton is in a prime opportunity to overtake Tyler Davison coming into the chicane. Davison goes defensive. It's very late defense. Dominic Kawinski now has put himself up into the top three. Cameron Hill as well is getting involved in this one. Tyler Davison has fallen back massively, and it is Dominic Kawinski up into fourth. Hill moves up to second. Davison's back up to third, and we're on the final lap now. Adam Hans has pulled away with a little bit of a gap, so Adam Hans could be going for his second win of the night, his third win in the PDT. But for now, Cameron Hill, Tyler Davison going by side. Davison takes P2 back. Hill misses out on that one. It's down to P3 for Hill. Easton looking for the move on Hill. It's going to be a late one. And there may have been contact between Easton and Hill. Hill stays just ahead. Hill going defensive again. Easton to keep up that streak of top three finishes. Kawinski might be out of this one. That was a big slide into the wall from Kawinski, and now the gap has increased between Kawinski and Easton. is Easton on hill now. And in the distance up front, Davison might actually have the pace to catch up to Hans at the end of this lap. We will see, but it's side by side coming down at the back straight through the tunnel for Easton and Hill, and Easton's back up into third, but he is giving that inside line to Hill, but there's battling behind with Hill and Kabinski, and Easton's going to have to cover that line or Hill will go for it. And Kabinski tries around the outside of Easton, not enough. There's going to be more chance looking to try and take a podium tonight. Che Easton, though, trying to keep up his streak. Up front, though, Adam Hans, who was leading by quite a lot. He's picked himself up a penalty. Adam Hans will be missing out on his second race win because Tyler Davison will be taking this one regardless. With that penalty from Adam Hans just at the last second, it could not have gone worse for Adam. That will be applied to his post-race finish. So, Tyler Davison is your race winner for race 3. And then it is Adam Hans who comes home in P2. Che Easton keeps up the podium streak with P3. Dominic Kabinski P4. Cameron Hill takes home P5. Ruben Threjo in P6. Will Sutters comes home P7. Simon Tahart P8. And Scholt Langschadler in P9. But what a race we had at the end there. And Tyler Davison just about took the win. Catastrophic in the end for Adam Hans. But in the end, it was Tyler Davison who took home the win. And that was a very close battle indeed for those final 3 positions on the podium. And that was one of the best battles we've seen in quite some time in GTRC. But Adam Hans, despite the fact that he had 1 second of penalties added on to the end, I think Easton might have battled enough with Kabinski, just enough to save Adam a little bit. Keep him in the top 2. But what a battle at the end that was, and what a shame Adam did not win that race in the end. But the order was Tyler Davison who takes the win because of Adam's penalty. Adam still holds off P2, and then it is Che Easton with P3. Dominic Kabinski P4. Cameron Hill takes home P5. He was well in that battle. Ruben Threjo P6. Will Sutters P7 did a nice job, the only medium run of that race. Simon Tahart in P8, and it is Scholt Langschadler in last place. We saw that incident earlier on. But oh my word, what a race we were just treated to there at the break. Wow. That was a cool one. That was a good one. And there's not long left to go to the season. Next week will be the penultimate round of the season. We only have 2 rounds left. We'll be racing at Watkins Glen next week, and then the week after that will be High Speed Ring. So the championship battle is getting a little less exciting now with the great string of form from Che Easton. He took home another podium just then. But we will see you this time next week to see how things will pan out as we head to our next track on the American Tour.